Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, hello and a very warm welcome to the Byrower workshop. My apologies, this Byrower Pro does not have covers yet. We are very busy producing a lot of pros right now, and I want to show you something very quickly. I just had the Saturday live class, the morning class. It's a 45-minute, very focused technique session, which is mostly joined from various indoor rowers, where we focus on one specific technique issue every week. Now, in today's session, I explained something I would like to re-explain, at least partially, in a very specific video. I'm talking about having excessively tired legs during a high-intensity piece, and that really shouldn't have to be the case all the time. Doesn't mean your legs have to be super relaxed after a race, but definitely not overspent. I'm referring to the following thing. If you look at the body, we can always think of agonists and antagonists in terms of muscles. So a simple example would be the biceps. If I trigger that, it's the agonist. The antagonist is the triceps. Make sense? That works for almost everything in your body. And it's not just single muscles, it's usually muscle chains. So more muscles functioning together as functional chains. And there are agonist chains and antagonist chains. You need that to create stability, but sometimes you actually don't want to have stability. You want to have an imbalance in order to use that excessive energy and move something with it, which is exactly what's happening at the catch. I'm referring to mostly here, let's just focus on the legs. The catch position is this one right here. So that's the maximum extension at the catch when we row. At that point, you see the force curves here. I have the Byrower app in signal mode live. You can watch me. And this is when my legs start to push. Which part of my muscles are actually engaged? Well, the quads, quadriceps. It's that part here in the front. Not exclusively, but to a large degree. All right, if my quads start to push, what's going to happen? I move back. Now, if I don't engage my core, what's going to happen? This. That would mean an empty seat motion because I'm literally just moving my seat back. I'm not moving the entire trunk back. Well, we want to move the entire trunk back because what we want to achieve is that. So there's a face of legs and upper body swing. How do you do this? Well, you need to transfer force from your soles to your hands. If we look, and I've talked about this in a couple of videos, if we look at the body, we have an excellent bone structure from our ankles to our knees. There's a very good bone structure from our knees to our hip joint. Now comes the issue. Hip joint to pelvis, excellent. So pelvis sits above the hip joint. But pelvis to shoulders, there's not much we can use. So yes, we do have the rib cage, but that's not helpful to transfer force from the feet to your hands. We've got the sternum, it's only going halfway down. We've got the spine. Hey, have you ever seen a skeleton, one of these plastic skeletons? They collapse, you have to hang them up. The spine is there to protect your nerves. It's not there to create a structural integrity to be able to pivot. There's nothing there. If we go from shoulders to elbows, hands, that's pretty stable again. So what's the issue? The issue is the most important leverage part that is demanded most here at the catch doesn't have the same amount of bone structure as the rest of the body. But we have superficial muscles and deep layer muscles. And we need to be able to engage the deep layer muscles. So, namely, being able to make the trunk long. That's one of the cues you can use. If you have a long trunk, we engage, of many others, the transverse abdominis, which is essentially a muscle ring. Very important. And when we are at the catch, what we need to focus on is to sit tall. The problem with these deep layer muscles is you cannot really voluntarily contract them like the biceps. You can only use metaphors because the trunk's main objective is to avoid rotation. There's so many organs in there that need to be protected. So the entire muscle structure we have in the trunk is to avoid any kind of excessive twisting and rotation. And we can take advantage of that if we're able to find the right ways to trigger the deep layer muscles so that when the legs start to push, we can actually swing the upper body open. So far, so good. So the problem is when you're at the catch and your pelvis does not tilt forward but is too far straight or back, it's not a good structure to transfer force because we create an artificial bend right here. So this would look like that. That's a typical low back. Now imagine you weren't going around the pins, which would actually protect your back. Imagine you were going in a linear pull fashion. Say goodbye to your health of your back. If you can't transfer the force, then your legs, which apply energy, produce energy. And where does this energy go? Newton said energy doesn't evaporate. So it's got to go somewhere. Either it moves something or it goes somewhere else until it finds an equal opposition. What happens here at the catch is when you start to push hard and your transfer capacity, this is the main issue, is not given because you cannot control your trunk well enough. So you can start to accelerate the flywheel, the force will be evaporated in your back. But if you round your back and you use small muscles, I explain in different videos why this is the case, just trust me, it is the case, then it looks for an equal partner, and that's going to be the antagonist here. Hamstrings, glutes. Now another problem, and you see this with many rowers, they row like this. I hit the catch, they go up. Why? It's the same reason. If your legs push hard and you can't hold it there and you don't want to do that, you automatically would trigger with the agonist, your quadriceps, the antagonist. So hamstrings, glutes, the entire hip extension chain. And that, if your trunk is too soft to transfer force, leads to this. And that's A, too early, and B, you have the quads working against the hamstrings and glutes. And when some coaches now tell you, well, just push harder with your legs, you just make the problem worse. You haven't solved the issue. You have actually created a bigger problem because more of what created the issue doesn't solve the issue. How do you solve that? Well, you have to get out of that cycle where the legs neutralize themselves and start to increase your transfer capacity. An easy cue, make your trunk long. Try to make your belly long, stomach long, ventral chain, the front of your torso long. I find this the easiest, and that's what we focus on in these Saturday sessions. And when you go to the catch, make sure your pelvis is tilted forward as best as you can. Not a hollow back, the front. I focus on the angle of my belt. Yeah? I'm wearing street clothes. See the belt? Probably you can't. But the belt, the angle of the belt here at the catch is what I'm keen on. I'm trying to push myself off the seat and forward. And that allows me to increase my transfer capacity tremendously. So the issue is not that our legs are too weak. The issue is that the transfer capacity is not given enough. So that means our legs push harder and harder and harder, makes just the back rounder, rounder, and then we push harder with our legs, makes our backs even worse, and that creates injuries, and you're slow and you're tired. Again, how do you solve it? Sit, pull your trunk long, don't put the chest out. Pull your trunk, your stomach long, the low trunk, increase your transfer capacity so you can actually have a nice direct transfer. There are many more things involved, just like shoulder suspension and so on. But that's a different video. I have not mentioned many details that are relevant, but I want to keep the video short. If I should elaborate more on that, just let me know. Put it in the comments, send me a message, join the Saturday classes, and if you want to learn more about that gorgeous BioRow Pro, go to biorow.com. Thank you very much for watching. Subscribe and like and share right now. Thank you very much. and I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.